A 20-foot killing machine charged through the jungle at 40 miles per hour. Its target? One human. Alone. Defenseless. The creature's jaws could crush steel. Its claws could rip through armor plating. This wasn't supposed to end well, but 3 years later, that same creature follows him everywhere. It sleeps outside his quarters. It brings him food when he's stressed. Scientists call it impossible. Xenobiologists say it breaks every rule we know about apex predators. But the truth behind this will shock you. Here's what makes this story absolutely insane. First, the attack wasn't random. The creature had tracked this human for 6 days across hostile terrain. It studied him, learned his patterns, waited for the perfect moment to strike. When it finally attacked, the encounter should have lasted 30 seconds. Instead, something happened that changed both their lives forever. Second, the transformation didn't happen slowly. We're not talking about months of careful bonding. The shift occurred in one single moment, one decision, and that decision went against millions of years of predatory evolution. What triggered it? The answer will rewrite everything you think you know about alien intelligence. Third, the emotional support part isn't cute or symbolic. This creature now responds to anxiety levels. It detects stress hormones from 50 feet away. When its human companion shows signs of PTSD, the creature performs specific calming behaviors. Behaviors it was never trained to do. Behaviors that shouldn't exist in its species. Military psychologists are studying this bond because it works better than any therapy they've developed. This isn't a movie. This happened on Colony Station Artemis 7. The human's name is Derek Walsh, former combat engineer, now the only person in the galaxy with a 20-foot apex predator as a registered emotional support animal. The military tried to separate them. Failed. Twice. The creature became violent when removed from Derek's presence. Not violent toward Derek, violent toward everyone else. But the real mystery goes deeper. Scientists discovered something in their brain scans. Something that shouldn't be possible between different species. Something that suggests this bond isn't unique. It might be the future of human-alien relationships, or it might be a warning we're not ready to understand. Let me show you exactly how this happened, and why it terrifies the people who know the full story. Colony Station. Artemis 7 sits on the edge of explored space. 12,000 colonists, 60% wilderness. The planet's ecosystem developed completely separate from Earth. Evolution took different paths here. Stranger paths. The apex predator of Artemis 7 earned a simple name from colonists, Razorbacks. 20 feet long. 4 tons of muscle and bone plates. They hunt in calculated patterns, track prey for days, learn behaviors, adapt strategies. Intelligence tests put them near dolphin level, maybe higher. Derek. Walsh arrived on Artemis 7 in 2027. Combat engineer, 31 years old. His job was simple: build defensive perimeters around new settlements, keep colonists safe from wildlife. He'd done it on 4 other worlds. Routine work. Or so he thought. His team was establishing Outpost Gamma when the attacks started. Not random attacks. Coordinated. 3 Razorbacks working together. They hit supply lines, destroyed equipment, studied human responses. One Razorback in particular showed unusual behavior, larger than average. Distinctive scarring across its face. Colonists called it Scar. Here's the first surprise. Scar wasn't just attacking, it was testing. Military analysts reviewed the footage later. Each attack probed different defenses, different responses. Scar was learning how humans fought back. This wasn't normal predator behavior. This was tactical assessment. Second surprise. Scar focused on Derek specifically. Out of 47 people at Outpost Gamma, Scar's attacks consistently targeted areas where Derek worked. Security footage showed Scar watching Derek from distance, following his routines. This wasn't hunting. This was something else. The situation escalated fast. Command ordered the Razorbacks eliminated. Standard protocol. Derek's team set traps, deployed automated defenses. Nothing worked. Scar adapted to every countermeasure within hours. It was learning faster than they could respond. Then came the decision that changed everything. Command ordered a full wilderness sweep. Kill all Razorbacks within 10 miles. Derek disagreed. Loudly. He'd studied the attack patterns, seen the intelligence behind them. He argued for non-lethal solutions. Relocation. Deterrence. His superiors overruled him. Derek made a choice. He went into the jungle alone, against orders. His plan: find Scar, attempt communication, prove the creatures could be reasoned with. His team thought he'd lost his mind. They were probably right. He tracked Scar for 2 days, used everything he knew about the creature's patterns, left markers, signals, tried to show he wasn't a threat. On the 3rd day, he found Scar, or rather, Scar found him. The encounter happened at dawn. Derek stood in a clearing, unarmed. Scar emerged from the tree line. They were 30 feet apart, eye to eye. Every instinct told Derek to run. He didn't. What happened next took 47 seconds. Those 47 seconds rewrote the rules. Now here's where things get really interesting, because what Derek saw in those moments explained everything about why Scar had been hunting him. Scar didn't attack. It circled. Slowly. Derek stood completely still. His heart rate hit 160. Sweat poured down his face, but he maintained eye contact. Steady, non-threatening. Then Scar did something no one had ever seen. It vocalized. Not a roar, not a threat display. A series of short, rhythmic sounds, almost like clicks. Derek's helmet recorder caught everything. Later analysis revealed something stunning. Those sounds matched patterns. Mathematical patterns. Here's the crazy part. Scar was attempting communication. Not animal communication. Structured communication. The rhythm contained repetitions, variations. It had syntax. Xenolinguists who studied the recording found 17 distinct sound units, combined in specific orders. This wasn't instinct. This was language. Derek didn't understand the sounds, but he understood the intention. Scar wanted to communicate. So Derek did the only thing that made sense. He talked back. Simple words, slow and clear. I'm not here to hurt you. I want to understand. Scar stopped circling, tilted its massive head. Those eyes, golden with vertical pupils, focused intensely on Derek's face. Scientists later explained what happened in that moment. Razorbacks have neural clusters dedicated to facial recognition, more developed than wolves, more sensitive than primates. Scar was reading Derek's expression, his micro-expressions, every tiny muscle movement. Then came the breakthrough. Derek slowly lowered himself to the ground, made himself smaller, less threatening. He placed both hands on the dirt, palm down, a universal gesture of vulnerability. Scar watched this, processed it, and responded. The massive creature lowered its head, moved closer, stopped 3 feet from Derek, close enough that Derek could smell its breath, feel the heat from its body. One swipe of those claws would end everything. But Scar didn't swipe. It extended its neck, brought its scarred face within inches of Derek's. They stayed like that for 90 seconds. Breathing the same air, Derek fought every survival instinct screaming at him to move. Scar's breathing slowed, deepened. Later, Derek described feeling a shift, an understanding that passed between them without words. What happened next shocked the researchers who reviewed the footage. Scar backed away, sat on its haunches, and waited. Just waited. Derek stood up slowly. Scar didn't react. Derek took 1 step forward, then another. Scar remained still. They were operating on a new understanding, a truce. maybe more than a truce. Here's what the data revealed. During those 90 seconds of close contact, both Derek's and Scar's stress hormones dropped. Dramatically. Cortisol levels decreased by 40%. Heart rates synchronized. They matched breathing patterns unconsciously. This wasn't just tolerance. This was physiological bonding. Derek spent 3 more hours in that clearing. Scar never left. They moved around each other carefully, testing boundaries, building trust. Derek offered food from his pack. Scar refused it, but when Derek ate, Scar watched with what seemed like curiosity. Not hunger, curiosity. When Derek finally left the clearing, Scar followed. Not aggressively, just followed. Maintained a distance of about 20 feet. When Derek stopped, Scar stopped. When Derek turned to look back, Scar made those same clicking sounds. Communication, acknowledgement. Derek returned to Outpost Gamma, with a 20-foot apex predator trailing behind him. His team nearly shot them both. The next 72 hours turned into the most intense negotiation in colony history. Command wanted Scar eliminated. Derek refused to leave Scar's side. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this. Because the brain scans revealed something that shouldn't be possible between human and alien biology. Dr. Sarah Chen arrived from the main colony within 24 hours. Xenobiologist, specialist in alien neural systems. She'd studied Razorback anatomy for 3 years. Never seen anything like what Derek described. She demanded to scan both of them. Full neural imaging, hormone panels, behavioral analysis. The scans took 6 hours. Derek sat in a medical pod. Scar waited outside, refused to leave the area. When technicians tried to move Scar to a separate facility, the creature became aggressive. Not toward Derek, toward anyone who tried to create distance. They had to run the scans with Scar visible through a window. Only then would Scar remain calm. Results came back at 300 hours. Dr. Chen called an emergency meeting. Her hands shook as she presented the data. Here's what they found. First, neural synchronization. Derek's brainwave patterns showed unusual activity in the anterior cingulate cortex. That's the region responsible for empathy, social bonding, emotional regulation, normal activity, random fluctuations. Derek's activity, rhythmic, patterned, synchronized to something external. Then they checked Scar's scans. Razorbacks have a neural structure called the ventral processor. Similar function to human limbic system, handles emotions, social behavior. Scar's ventral processor showed the same rhythmic patterns, same frequency, same timing. Derek and Scar were literally on the same wavelength. But here's where it gets insane. The synchronization didn't exist before their encounter. Dr. Chen had baseline scans of Derek from his arrival medical check. Normal patterns, random activity. The synchronization developed during those 90 seconds in the clearing. Something in that close contact rewired their neural systems. Both of them. Second discovery. Hormone matching. Razorbacks produce a compound called trilaxin. Functions like oxytocin in humans. The bonding hormone. Scar's trilaxin levels were elevated, expected in bonding scenarios, but Derek's blood showed traces of trilaxin. Human bodies don't produce trilaxin. They can't metabolize it. Yet there it was. 0.03 micrograms per liter in Derek's bloodstream. Dr. Chen's theory, cross-species transfer during close contact. Razorback breath contains aerosolized trilaxin. When Derek and Scar were face-to-face, Derek inhaled it. His body somehow accepted it, integrated it, started responding to it. The trilaxin acted like a bridge, connecting their nervous systems. Third finding, memory integration. They tested Derek's recall of the encounter, standard procedure. But something strange appeared in the scans. When Derek remembered the clearing, specific neural patterns activated, patterns that matched emotional memory formation. Except the patterns showed dual perspective. Derek remembered his own experience, but he also showed markers consistent with remembering Scar's experience, like he'd somehow absorbed Scar's emotional state during the bonding. They tested this, showed Derek images of Razorbacks in various situations. His neural response to images of Scar was unique, different from other Razorbacks, specific, personal, like recognizing a family member versus a stranger. The bond had created individual recognition at a neurological level. Even more shocking, the effect worked both ways. When Scar saw other humans, minimal interest, standard predator assessment. When Scar saw Derek, immediate activation of social bonding centers. The same response dogs show when seeing their owners, but stronger, more intense. Dr. Chen called it symbiotic neural bonding, first documented case between human and non-Earth species. The implications were massive. If this could happen once, it could happen again. With proper protocols, right circumstances, right individuals, humans might be able to bond with alien species at a neurological level. But Command saw different implications. Security concerns. What if hostile species could form these bonds? What if the bonds could be weaponized? Questions multiplied. Debates raged. Meanwhile, Derek and Scar remained inseparable. The military tried separation twice. First attempt, Scar became violent within 30 minutes. Destroyed equipment, injured 3 personnel, not fatally, but aggressively. Second attempt. Derek experienced symptoms similar to withdrawal, elevated heart rate, anxiety, tremors. Medical staff had to reunite them after 4 hours. The bond wasn't just emotional, it was physiological, biological. Breaking it caused measurable harm to both parties. Command faced a choice: accept the bond or terminate both Derek and Scar. They chose acceptance, reluctantly. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. Because 6 months after the bonding, something happened that proved the connection went even deeper than anyone imagined. Derek's mental health collapsed in month 6. PTSD, not from the encounter with Scar, from before. Combat trauma from his military service, suppressed for years, the stress of everything, the controversy, the testing, the constant surveillance, broke the dam. Flashbacks, panic attacks, severe anxiety. He couldn't function. Standard treatment failed. Medication helped minimally. Therapy sessions went nowhere. Derek spiraled downward. Medical staff worried about self-harm. They increased monitoring, considered psychiatric hospitalization, but they couldn't separate him from Scar. The separation attempts had proven that impossible. Then something extraordinary happened. Scar responded. First change? Proximity. Scar began staying closer to Derek, within 10 feet at all times. When Derek slept, Scar positioned itself at the door, guarding, watching. When Derek experienced anxiety spikes, Scar immediately moved to his side. Physical presence, constant reassurance. Second change? Behavioral modification. Scar developed specific responses to Derek's emotional states. During panic attacks, Scar would lower its body, make itself smaller, less threatening, position its head near Derek's chest. The weight and warmth provided grounding, physical connection to reality. The attacks shortened. From 15 minutes to 5, eventually to 2. Third change, anticipatory response. Scar began detecting attacks before they happened. How? Scientists finally figured it out. Stress hormones, specifically cortisol and adrenaline. When Derek's stress levels started rising, his body released these hormones through sweat. Scar could smell them, detect changes up to 30 minutes before visible symptoms appeared. When Scar detected these changes, it initiated calming behaviors. specific sequences. First, physical contact, gentle pressure with its head. Second, vocalization, those clicking sounds. Rhythmic, steady, like a heartbeat. Third, synchronized breathing. Scar would breathe slowly, deeply. Derek unconsciously matched the pattern. His nervous system regulated. Panic averted. Military psychologists documented everything. They'd never seen anything like it. Emotional support animals exist. Dogs, cats, horses. But those animals are trained. Taught specific responses. Scar had no training. Zero conditioning. The behaviors emerged naturally, instinctively. The bond itself taught Scar what Derek needed. Here's the most shocking part. Brain scans during these episodes revealed something unprecedented. When Scar performed calming behaviors, both their neural patterns synchronized even more strongly. The rhythmic activity intensified, spread to new brain regions. Derek's amygdala, the fear center, showed reduced activity during Scar's interventions. Reduced more than with any medication or therapy. But the connection went further. Researchers discovered bidirectional emotional transfer. When Derek felt anxious, Scar showed stress markers. When Scar calmed Derek, Scar's own stress levels decreased. They were regulating each other's emotional states. Mutual support. Not just Derek benefiting from Scar. Scar benefiting from Derek. Dr. Chen called it symbiotic emotional regulation. The bond had created a feedback loop. Each party stabilized the other. This explained why separation caused harm to both. They'd become psychologically interdependent. Remove one, and the system collapsed. The military brought in specialists from Earth. Trauma experts, neurologists, xenobiologists. Everyone reached the same conclusion. The bond worked better than conventional treatment. Derek's PTSD symptoms decreased by 70% over 3 months. His medication was reduced, then eliminated. Scar became his primary therapeutic intervention. Command made it official. Scar received designation as a registered emotional support animal. First non-Earth species. First apex predator. First multi-ton carnivore. The decision created controversy, but the data didn't lie. Derek was healthier with Scar than without, by every measurable metric. But here's what Command didn't publicize. The research revealed something terrifying. The bond could be replicated. Other humans showed potential for similar connections. Other Razorbacks showed compatible neural structures. If humans started bonding with apex predators across the colony, what would that mean? How would society function? Could humans with bonded predators be controlled, deployed? The questions had no answers. Even more concerning, the bond appeared permanent. 3 years later, Derek and Scar remained synchronized. No degradation, no weakening. If anything, the connection strengthened over time. New behaviors emerged, deeper understanding. They'd created something unprecedented, something beautiful, something dangerous. So what does all this mean for us today? Because the implications of this bond extend far beyond one human and one creature on a distant colony. The Derek-Scar bond changed colonial policy across 12 systems. Command couldn't ignore the data. Humans could form deep neurological connections with alien species. The question wasn't if, it was how. And should we? First implication? Therapeutic applications. PTSD affects millions. Veterans, trauma survivors, first responders. Traditional treatment helps, but not everyone. Not completely. What if bonding with compatible alien species offered better outcomes? The Derek case proved effectiveness. 70% symptom reduction. 0 medication, no side effects. Research programs started immediately. Scientists identified 3 other species with potential bonding capability. None as dramatic as Razorbacks, but possibilities existed. Smaller creatures, less dangerous, similar neural structures. The race began to understand and replicate the bonding process. But here's the problem. Bonding can't be forced. Derek and Scar connected because of specific circumstances. Mutual vulnerability, life or death stakes, genuine, emotional openness. You can't manufacture that in a lab. Early attempts failed. Humans and aliens placed together under controlled conditions. No bond formed. The magic required something authentic, something spontaneous. Second implication, colonial expansion. Humans spread across the galaxy. Every new world brings new species, new dangers, new conflicts. Traditional approach, eliminate threats, build barriers, stay separate. The Derek-Scar bond suggested alternatives. What if humans could bond with local apex predators, turn potential threats into allies, partners? Some colonies began experimental programs, volunteers working with local wildlife, attempting communication, building trust. Results varied. 2 successful bonds formed in 3 years. Both involved similar circumstances to Derek's experience. Danger, risk, genuine connection. You can't rush it. You can't fake it. Third implication, military applications. Command saw potential immediately. Soldiers bonded with apex predators. Enhanced capabilities, natural weapons, perfect loyalty. No moral qualms about following orders. The possibilities excited military planners. Terrified ethicists. Derek refused military deployment. Repeatedly. He and Scar weren't weapons, weren't tools. The bond was personal, intimate. Using it for combat violated everything the connection represented. Command pressured him, offered promotions, incentives. Derek declined everything. Eventually, they stopped asking. But other bonded pairs had different perspectives. 2 soldiers with bonded creatures accepted combat roles, specialized missions, high risk. Results remained classified. What's known? Both soldiers survived scenarios that should have killed them. Their bonded partners provided capabilities no technology could match. Speed, strength, tactical intelligence. The missions succeeded. At what cost? Unknown. Fourth implication, social restructuring. Humans with bonded predators exist in different category. Not quite human, not quite alien. Something between. How does society handle that? Where do they fit? Early bonded pairs faced discrimination, fear, suspicion. People avoided them. Children were forbidden from approaching. Businesses denied service. Derek experienced this firsthand. Restaurants refused entry. Scar too large, too dangerous. Despite perfect behavior, despite official documentation, fear overruled logic. Derek couldn't live normal life, couldn't shop, socialize, participate in community. He became isolated, separated from both human and Razorback society. But communities began adapting, special zones created, bonded pair accommodations, modified facilities. Slowly, acceptance grew, understanding increased. People saw Derek and Scar together, witnessed the gentleness, the mutual care. Fear decreased. Curiosity replaced it. Some people even expressed interest in bonding themselves. Fifth implication, evolutionary questions. The bond changes both parties. Neurologically, hormonally, behaviorally. Does it change them genetically? Can bonded pairs reproduce? Would offspring carry bonding markers? Could this create new subspecies, hybrid societies? The questions outpaced answers. Research continues. Scientists study every bonded pair, monitor changes, document everything. They're witnessing human evolution in real time. Adaptation to alien contact at biological level. Some celebrate this, others fear it. The divide grows deeper. Here's what we know for certain. The bond is real, measurable, beneficial for many, dangerous for some. It can't be controlled, can't be weaponized without destroying what makes it work. It requires authenticity, vulnerability, trust, everything our modern world struggles to provide. Derek's life changed forever. Not always positively. He gained an incredible companion, lost normal existence, became scientific curiosity, military interest, social outcast. But when asked if he'd undo the bond, his answer never changes. No, never. Not for anything. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. Something that happened just 6 months ago that changes everything we thought we understood about these bonds. Last year, Scar got sick. Not normal sick, dying sick. Razorbacks live 30 years average. Scar was only 12. Disease struck fast. Cellular degeneration, affecting neural tissue, the same neural structures that enabled bonding. Doctors gave Scar 3 months, maybe less. Derek refused to accept it. Demanded treatment options, experimental procedures, anything. Xenoveterinarians explained the problem. Razorback biology was too different. Medications that worked on Earth creatures failed here. Evolution had taken separate path. No compatible treatments existed. Derek made a decision. He volunteered for experimental procedure. Direct neural link, his brain connected to Scar's through advanced interface. The idea? Use the existing bond of foundation, amplify it. Let Derek's healthy neural activity support Scar's degrading systems, like jump-starting a dead battery with a working one. Medical staff called it insane, dangerous, potentially fatal for both. The procedure had never been tested. Not on humans, not on Razorbacks, not with bonded pairs. Too many unknowns, too many risks. Derek didn't care. Scar was dying. Risk meant nothing compared to that. They performed the procedure in Colony Hospital, Derek under partial sedation, Scar restrained gently. Neural interface activated. For 47 minutes, the same length as their first encounter, their brains connected completely. Not just synchronized, merged. One consciousness, shared thoughts, shared feelings, shared existence. Medical monitors went crazy. Readings nobody could interpret. Both neural patterns fluctuated wildly. Staff nearly terminated the procedure. Then everything stabilized. Suddenly, completely. New pattern emerged. Stronger than before. More complex. More integrated. When they disconnected, something had changed. Permanently. Scar's cellular degeneration stopped. Completely stopped. Scans showed regeneration. Damaged tissue repairing itself. Impossible, yet happening. Doctors had no explanation. The shared consciousness had somehow reset Scar's biology. Used Derek's healthy patterns as template. Rebuilt damaged systems. But Derek changed too. Post-procedure scans showed expanded neural structures. New connections, enhanced processing in regions associated with sensory integration, spatial awareness, pattern recognition. Derek could now sense things he couldn't before. Electromagnetic fields, minute temperature changes, things Razorbacks naturally perceive. He'd gained Scar's sensory capabilities, partially, enough to expand his own consciousness. The bond had evolved, transcended original parameters. They weren't just synchronized anymore. They shared cognitive abilities. Derek thought with Razorback-enhanced perception. Scar thought with human-level analysis. Together, they created something greater than sum of parts. Hybrid consciousness. New form of intelligence. Dr. Chen published findings. Scientific community exploded. Some called it breakthrough. Others called it abomination. Ethical debates raged. Religious groups protested. Military doubled research funding. The world watched, argued, wondered, feared. 6 other bonded pairs have since undergone similar procedures. 4 survived. 2 died. The survivors report same changes: enhanced abilities, deeper connections, hybrid consciousness. They describe it as awakening, seeing reality through multiple lenses simultaneously, experiencing existence as both human and alien. Neither, both. Something new. Colony officials don't know how to classify them. Not human, not alien. Post-human, trans-species, new category of being. Language fails, concepts fail. They exist beyond current understanding, walking question marks, living experiments, future made flesh. Derek doesn't care about classifications. He has Scar, healthy, alive. They face each day together. Two minds, one purpose, protecting each other, growing together, exploring what their bond means, where it leads, what they might become. Their story isn't finished. It's evolving. Every day brings new discoveries, new challenges, new possibilities. They're pioneers, trailblazers. First of potentially many, or possibly only example. Time will tell. If this opened your eyes to what's possible when species connect beyond traditional boundaries, you're ready for what comes next. Let's recap the biggest takeaways here. First, an apex predator and a human formed a genuine neurological bond through one moment of mutual vulnerability. That bond wasn't trained or forced. It emerged naturally from authentic connection. Second, the bond provided better therapeutic outcomes than traditional medicine. Derek's PTSD decreased 70% through Scar's instinctive emotional support. No medication required. Third, the bond evolved beyond synchronization into hybrid consciousness. After the experimental procedure, Derek and Scar share cognitive abilities. They've become something new, something unprecedented. This story matters because it shows where humanity might be heading. We're not alone in the galaxy. We're surrounded by alien intelligence, different forms, different expressions, but intelligence nonetheless. The question isn't whether we can coexist, it's whether we can connect, really connect, at biological level, neural level, soul level, if such a thing exists. The Derek-Scar bond proves connection is possible, under right circumstances, with right individuals, but it also proves connection can't be manufactured, can't be forced. It requires authenticity, vulnerability, risk, everything our modern world tries to eliminate. We want connection without danger, understanding without exposure, growth without pain. Derek's story shows that's impossible. Real connection requires real risk. What happens next depends on choices we make now. Do we pursue bonding research, open ourselves to alien consciousness, risk changing what it means to be human, or do we stay safe, separate, purely human? Both paths have costs. Both offer benefits. Neither guarantees success. Personally, I think Derek and Scar represent hope. Not just for PTSD treatment, not just for colonial expansion, but for fundamental question of what consciousness can become when different minds truly merge. We're witnessing evolution, real-time adaptation to multi-species galaxy. Some will embrace it, others will fight it. History will judge who chose correctly. If this story fascinated you, you need to subscribe. More stories are coming. Stories about humans and aliens, about consciousness and connection, about the bleeding edge of what's possible when species meet. Some stories inspire, others terrify. All of them expand understanding of what we might become. Hit that like button if this changed how you think about human-alien relationships. The algorithm needs to know people want this content, want deep exploration of consciousness and connection, want stories that challenge assumptions about intelligence and emotion and what binds different minds together. Drop a comment answering this question. If you could bond with an alien species, would you? Knowing it changes you permanently. Knowing you can't undo it. knowing you might become something neither fully human nor fully alien. What species would you choose? Why? I read every comment. Best answers get featured in next video. For those wanting to go deeper, I've created extended analysis. Behind-the-scenes research. Exclusive interviews with xenobiologists studying bonded pairs. Available through channel membership. Link in description. Join community exploring frontier of human consciousness. We discuss implications, share theories, track new developments as they happen. Next video drops in 3 days. We're covering the military applications command tried to suppress, the bonded pairs who accepted combat roles, what they experienced, what it cost them, what it revealed about weaponizing consciousness. The footage is classified. The stories are not. You won't want to miss this. Until then, think about Derek and Scar, about connection that transcends species, about vulnerability that enables transformation, about risk that opens possibilities. Their story continues, their bond deepens, their future unfolds. And maybe, just maybe, their path shows us ours. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay open, stay human, or whatever comes next.